It's not an option. It's like, did I call somebody? No, that's what you do. It's like your job. You might sound like that.
Okay. So, hello everybody. Those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Kevin Cole. I am your instructional technology assistant. So my job is to make sure you know how to use your technology, your computers, your software, all the hardware. So we're going to do a lunch and learn today. Hi. And we're going to go over some basics in Excel. So we're going to learn about doing some calculations. We're going to be doing quite a bit with formatting in this one. So you're going to learn how to do some formatting, setting up the columns, setting up colors, things like that. All right, so let's get started. Now, the premise is that I have generated a report that has given me attendance records. Okay, so as you can see on the screen right now, the spreadsheet is showing me just a whole bunch of numbers. And I can't really tell what the numbers mean. So what I'm going to do is start formatting them so that I can then turn this into a presentation that I can hand somebody, and they'll know just by looking at it exactly what's going on. So first of all, each row represents a grade level, 1 through 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to label the rows as being grades 1 through 6. So I'm going to do that by clicking on the A and going Insert. Notice it just puts in a blank column for me. Okay. So I want to then say that this is going to be grade level 1 and 2, and I could go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Or, oops, notice there's a little dot in the bottom corner here. Okay. When I drag this, see what it did? It automatically figured, hey, so pretty excited about the automatic calculation. So it sees that I went 1, 2, so it assumed, oh, Kev, you already started a process of 1, 2, so I'm assuming you're going to go 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. This also works 2, 4. Okay. And I can do it even numbers, odd numbers. Okay. I can do big jumps, 10, 20. Okay. Right, so that it recognizes the pattern, you have to do 2. Okay, so I've added my grade levels. Okay.
Could you do that for the date?
Can you do that for the date? Yes, you can. I think it goes September, October. Oops, I have to spell it right. I might have to spell them out. Oh, no, it did. Yeah. Yeah, actually it didn't do it properly, did it? Nope. Let's try that again. Oh, it's not recognizing sept as being the date, or as being the month. So if I spell it all out, September, October, then it will. There you go. Okay. And so now you can bring that out, and I know it also works with days of the week as well. All right. So let's get back to where we were over here. So I've got my grade level, but I don't know what these numbers all mean right now. Okay. So I want to insert a line above here, and then I'm going to label what these things are, what each column is. So I'm going to insert, and this is grade level. Okay. I right-click on the 1, and I go Insert, and it would put in a new line. Okay, so it says grade level, but notice grade level is too big to fit in the cell that I have here. So I can take this and drag it and make it big enough. Or the other thing I could have done was double-clicked it, and it will automatically size it to the size I need. Okay, so then September, October, November. Okay, and just yes, it will. See, there we go. So now I'm doing my months right across that way. So now I've got them. I didn't have to type it all out. I just had to give it a few starter ones, and then it knows, oh, he's doing months, so I'm going to copy months all the way across. So now you can see that these columns represent the absences. There were 7 absences in grade 1 in October. Right, starting to take a little bit of shape. But wouldn't it be really neat if we could have this be a little bit nicer to look at, right? I'm presenting this. I'm going to hand this into the administrator. I'm going to send this into the board office, whatever. Okay, I want this to look really impressive, so let's do that. I'm going to highlight all of these, okay, and I'm going to come up here to cell styles, and they have a bunch of stuff built in for you. Okay, and that was right up here under cell styles. Okay, and then I go and I'm saying, well, they're headings, so I'm going to create heading, and it automatically has stuff built in for you. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Okay, so I want to do next. I need to do some calculations. I need to know how many students were absent because I need to do some percentages. I want to know what percentage of my student body is absent in any one month because this is what we're looking for attendance. So we're going to try to figure out, what's good attendance, what's bad attendance. So I'm going to do some calculations. First of all, I'm going to need to know what these things are. So totals. Okay, these are school days. So there's 18 school days in September, 19 in October, so on and so forth. Okay, and then we're going to learn the percentages of how many people are missing. Okay, so what percentage? So let's start by doing a calculation of how many absences school-wide are there between grades 1 and 6. So there's a bunch of ways I can do this. I can go to formulas and I can go auto sum. When I hit it, is now summed all of those up. Okay. Watch what happens when I take this sideways. Doing my same drag thing. Okay. It automatically assumed that, seeing as I'm moving this to the next cell, that I must be adding up this column, right? So it makes your life a lot easier. Instead of having to redo these calculations every single time, it's going to make some very good assumptions as to where you really want to go. Sure. I'm going to do it again because we're going to do it here. Yeah. So we're going to learn the totals for the entire year for grade 1. So I'm going to come up here to auto sum. Okay, and it automatically assumed that, seeing as there was numbers here, okay, that's what I want. Okay, but it did take the grade level, so that one I don't need. So I need to modify this to say, no, I want you to start at B2. Okay, right here. I just typed. I just started typing in the field, or I could have typed right up here. All right. Okay, and then I just hit enter. And so now when you add up all of these, it's 344. Okay, so now I need to copy this. I need to copy this over for all the different grade levels. So same thing we did on the bottom here. I just take the bottom corner here and drag it down. Okay, and it went, I'm assuming that the totals, right, because you were adding up this column, or rows, I guess, right? This one here assumed that, nope, now you're on to row 3, row 4, and as you can see up here, it's showing me where I'm going to. So it knows to change. Okay? So this looks pretty good, but we have totals over here. Okay? Let's make them look like totals. Remember under cell styles? Okay? We have a total. Okay? So it's built in. You don't have to use it just because it's there, but they have some stuff built in, so it makes it look a little nicer for you. Okay. You still have your standard things that you could always have done, bolding, right? Things like that. You could still do those if you prefer to do it that way. Oh, slowing down here for a sec. All right. So now we're going to do percentages. Okay. What percentage of the student body was out sick that month? Okay, so I'm just taking a look here. So I have, my school has 425 students in it. Okay, so I'm just going to pull up my calculation here. And I'm going to, now I can't do an auto sum with the percentage, okay, so I'm just going to start putting this in here. Okay, and I go sum, and then I take the cell here, I just click on it, and notice it puts it in. Okay, so this is the calculation I'm going to do, divided by the number of students. Oops, that's going into order of operations. You're still doing your same order of operations that you learned in math class, okay? So I'm creating bracket here because I need to have a calculation take place inside A18 times B14. Oh, the school days, okay? So there's 186 absences, but we also have to say, well, there was 425 students times 18, excuse me, times 18 days in the school, in the month. Okay, so closing the bracket, enter. There's my number, okay? Doesn't look very good though, does it? Okay? And I'm going to come back and explain what I'm doing here because it's going to make sense as soon as I do this. 2% of my class was absent, okay? I made it a percentage, okay? Now, is it truly 2% or is it 2 point something? It's probably 2 point something. So what I want to do is add some decimal places. I'm going to add 2 decimal places just by clicking here twice. So this little icon right here lets me add decimal places. This one removes decimal places. So there I've got my number, okay? Again, I'm going to take this and drag it all the way across, okay? Oops. And look what happened. Because it wanted to assume that this was moving with it, it didn't realize that this didn't want to move, okay? So how do I fix that? How do I make sure when I drag this across that certain things stay where they want to be, where I want them to stay, okay? I have a way of doing that. So what I don't want to move is B13, right? So I put a $sign in front of the B and a $sign in front of the 13 and hit enter. Now when I drag this, it brings the numbers over, and it said don't change B13. So drag it over, and anything that didn't have the $sign in front of it, progress by 1. So when I bring this all the way across, now I have my perfect calculations with my percentages. Okay, so 2.43% of the student body in September was absent. Okay. Now, wouldn't it be nice to hand this in with different colors, right? So let's build a little table here, first of all. We're going to say that I'm going to fill this in, okay? And I'm going to fill this in with, oops, wrong fill. Sorry, oh, there we go. With green. Okay. So that's going to be better than expected. Okay, and we'll say what that's going to be like less than 3%. Okay, and this one here I'm going to fill in and say it's yellow. Okay, and that's acceptable because we expect there's going to be, you know, absences. So acceptable would we would consider. I'm just making these numbers up. I have no idea what's acceptable. So say 4.5%. Okay, and bad attendance would be anything over 4.5%. So poor over 4.5%. Okay. Okay. These do nothing here. It's just a little table for me. Okay. But notice the text is bigger than the cells. Okay. I don't want to expand the cell because it would wreck what's up here. Okay. Watch what I can do. I can take this and I can merge. So now it acts like one big cell. Okay, so this way, so I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to merge the cells and merge the cells. Okay, why am I doing this? Watch, because now I want to put a fancy little box around this so that it looks nice. Okay, if I hadn't merged them across, then the lines would have been through the words. Okay, so by merging them, I said treat this like one big cell, because I don't want to resize the cell like I did over here, because I want these to still stay in the same size that they are. So now I want these colors to come through, but I don't want to have to say, oh yeah, go keep referencing back, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a rule. And I'm going to say if the number is less than 3%, make it green. And if it's between 3 and 4.5, make it yellow. Okay? And of course over and make it red. Okay, I'm just going to check. Lucy, you have your hand up. If you'd like to, you can type into the question box if you want to give me a question. I'm going to create the rules right now. From the Home tab, okay, so the tab's up here from the Home tab, go Conditional Formatting right here, okay, and we're going to create a new rule, okay, and then we're going to go Format the Cell, and I want automatically turned itself green. Let's do the same thing for the yellows. Okay, Conditional Formatting, new rule, between 3% and 4.5. Mm-hmm.
But those are all percentages. What would stop it from telling you from making yellow something up?
Okay. The question is what would stop it if I'm creating this color scheme from doing them up here? Because when I started the process of conditional formatting, I highlighted the cells that it applies to. So conditional formatting, new cells that are 4.5% and, whoops, wrong button, and 100. Okay. Okay. We only have that one month there where we had over 5%, over 4.5% absentee. Okay. Okay. You know what I'd like to know? I'd like to know our average. What's the average absentee over the entire year? Probably better if I spelt that right? Okay. There's calculations for all sorts of things. So we're going to do a calculation for finding out the average percentage here. Okay. It's average. Okay. Notice as I start typing, it starts to say, hey, what formula are you picking? It's going to say, I think you might be picking this formula. So I say, yeah, I'm picking that one. I've already typed it all the way out, so that's why it's not doing anything else. So average, all of these, okay, close it up. So on average, we have 3.36% absenteeism, okay, which according to this is acceptable, okay. Now we could have included this in our conditional formatting, okay, when we created the rule, or we could go and manage. Oops. Sorry, I actually had planned on highlighting both of these when I was creating the lesson plan here. Sorry. Okay, so I think at this point here, probably the best thing is you just create the three of those over again. Okay, but I won't run through that again. And then you would have the color scheme automatically change, right? So if all of a sudden, let's say we had 600 absences in grade 1, notice the percentage goes way up, and the color changes automatically because we told it it's a rule, and whenever that number changes, bang, it changes for us automatically. Okay, so this is great. We're going to hand this in, okay, and we're going to send this to the board office, but how does the board office know that it's for Dieppe and not for somebody else? Okay, let's put in a text box. So I'm going to insert a new line top here, okay, maybe insert a few of them. I want it to be nice and big. Watch what happens when I highlight 2 rows and I go insert. It inserted 2 more rows, okay? So as many rows as you pick, I can go insert and it picks them. Yeah. If I want to go across where, sorry? I want to add new rows like this, but if I want to add new columns, I could go insert. So you just insert whatever you're trying to insert. You're either inserting a column or a row. You just click on it, insert, and it will put it in. Okay, the reason why I left a lot of room up here, because I want to insert a text box. It's a call Dieppe, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, and you can use the accent if you know how to, if you know the keys for it. Okay, so but that doesn't look too impressive, does it? Okay, well we can also do our same formatting where we can go and bold it, change the style, change the size of it, all this stuff. Okay, change the color. You want it to be, oh, that's the, sorry, this is the color of the text, right? You can do what you like here, okay? and then I can center it. See right here, I got my center, or I can right justify it, left, center. I can make it at the top of the box, or in the middle, or near the bottom. Okay, so I have these different things I can use to make it look nice. Okay, so we've got, let's put that at the top, because then we're going to say this is our absentee. Report. Okay, and that doesn't need to be so big, so maybe I'll bring that big down like that. Okay. Okay. Notice that absentee report, when I clicked out of it, disappeared. Okay, because my box isn't big enough. So, okay, see, now it's big enough. See, when I click in here, you have these dots to make it bigger, to widen it, to make it higher. Okay. I can also, notice when I put my cursor on the edge, it turns into this cross. Okay, with that, when I click, now I can move the text box wherever. I can put it wherever I want. Notice I put this stuff. You can do that. They can hide stuff. Put it up here. There we go. Okay. I could also put in with its own color if I wanted to, right over here. I think we saw that earlier. Nice purple on pink. Okay. Oh, I have here. Okay, why do we need, okay, we have a question here. Why do we need sum in front of the formula for percentage? Because we're doing the calculation, and even though it's not an addition, it's still, sum sort of takes the value of being a mathematical function. So don't think of it as summing as an addition. Think of it as summing as in we're performing a mathematical function, and whatever I put into the calculation is what it's going to do. Notice I use the slash here for divide. Right, and the star here for multiply. So hopefully that answers that question. Okay, so all right, any other questions, comments? Yeah? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I want little lines between each number.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think usually when I print, I just get it blank with just numbers.
Exactly. Okay, the question is when we print this out, we'd like to have lines in between each square, or each cell, sorry, so that way when we're looking at it, we actually see it nicely contained in the print. Okay? All you do is highlight them, okay, and ground them. Okay, and that was right up here. Okay, so let's do that again. Okay, so I highlight what I want to have the squares, the cells have borders on them. They're called borders. And I can decide, maybe I just want to have a border and a right border. So I highlight all that I want. In here, I pick all borders. Okay. Yeah, you can, if you're doing them one by one, there's a lot faster way to do it by doing it this way. Yeah. Okay. And then the other thing I could do is I could go like this, and then I could just do a thick outside border. So now I got a thicker box around the outside. Okay. Now let's say I don't like the lines that have shown up. Okay. They're there, they're quick, they're easy, but I didn't like them. I want them to be bigger. I want them to stand out. Okay. We can do that. Okay. But then we're going to have to go in and format the cells. Okay. So let's talk about that border. I want a dashed border. Notice I can do that. And then I pick OK. Okay. And just wherever I highlight at the cells, I can pick whatever I'd like. Thick ones. Okay. Notice here, I have some buttons that help me make this faster. So I could say I want to do the outline with that kind of border and the inside with this kind of border. Okay. Just by doing that, because as you saw, I had to click in a bunch of different areas to get to there. And then I even have even more choices here. Just want the right-hand side. Just want the middle. Okay, the middle one, I want this double line like that. Okay, I have all kinds of choices when I'm creating the borders this way. I can play with it however I see, however I want. Okay, so let's just do outside and inside like that. There we go. They're done. Okay. Okay. All right. The question was can we make this bigger on the screen, because so that way we can read it better? People who have a hard time seeing the small, right here at the bottom. Okay. Right on the very, very bottom. Okay. And this is in Excel. It's also in Word. It's in most of the Microsoft products. Okay. Now I'm going to show you another trick for doing that. Okay. I hold down the Control key on my keyboard, and it zooms in and out. Okay. So Control on the keyboard, and then just scroll wheel up and down, move in and out. It works for most everything. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I have another. Without sum, would it be okay? So that we're back to the question here. No, this would not work without the sum in front of it. So if I was doing this percentage here, I still need to have the sum. Yes, it is. Yeah, I can either type it in, or I could do the formula and insert the function, and it would start me off with sum. These are the most commonly used ones.
I was doing a shop test with students, and sometimes they would put a dollar sign. It's not. When we did the sum, it would only calculate the one that had a dollar sign.
I'd have to see that. I don't think so. If no, the dollar sign really won't make a difference. So the question was if there's a dollar sign, would it skip a calculation? So the answer to that should be no. So 23, 45, 8. You know what? Let's do this easier. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that should add up to 6, right? So I'm going to go at some. Okay, so it adds up to 6. But if I put a dollar sign in front of this one, okay, then there still is 6. Okay, so changing the format of these things from dollar signs or percentages will make them different, because then they'll be decimal numbers. But any of these different things here that I'm calculating out, the scientific notation, okay, should not change it. The sum will add up whatever in these boxes that I tell it to. Yeah, and then I go equals, the equal sign, and then SUM, open bracket, highlight what I want to calculate out. So I just notice I highlight these 3, close the bracket, and hit enter.
But if you just go auto sum and if you highlight everything you want.
If I'm in this box right here, and cell, sorry, I keep saying box, it should be cell, and I go to my formulas, and I go auto sum, it's going to assume all the numbers in front of me, and it adds them up.
You have to be underneath.
I have to be underneath. When I use the auto sum, watch this, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, okay, and then I go auto sum. Blank cells, auto sum is going to go blank cell. Obviously, that was something different, so I'm going to ignore that.
But if there was a blank cell,
it still would not. If I went 1, 2, 3, and now I go auto sum, it just took the cell, the highest number closest to it, and notice that it didn't go back up.
So
they have to be touching, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So that's why this calculates only out to 3, because it just took the one cell. Okay. I'm sorry, I missed the first part of your question. You're collecting money from the class. You just put in the amount that each child brought. Okay. Yeah. And it would automatically count using the auto sum. So the question was, is if we're collecting money, so we have Billy, Susie, and Mary, okay, and they've all come in and they brought in their money. So they bring in, Bill brought in $10, and Susie brought in $15, and Mary brought in $20, okay. and I highlight these, and I want to make them representing that it is money, right? Okay. And I go formula auto sum. Okay. It automatically grabbed that, and even assumed the formula was dollar value because of what it's been adding up. Okay. So now all of a sudden it's tomorrow, and Billy walks in and says, "Oh, Madame, I have more money for you." So now Billy's actually brought in $25 altogether. Okay, and notice the calculation at the bottom changed automatically. As soon as you type in the number, the calculations change. Susie didn't bring anything in. You would have to either put in a 0, okay, for the auto sum to work, because if it was just empty and I used auto sum, it would only take Mary. It wouldn't go to Bill. Yeah. Yeah, if you're using auto sum and there's a space in between because it is an actual space, Susie has not brought in her money yet, put a 0 in there because Susie has brought in 0. And then the auto sum works. Okay. The other thing you could have done, let's say you didn't want to go through the hassle because you've got a list of 40 kids and a handful of them haven't brought in. You don't want to have to go to all 10 of them and put a 0 in. Don't use the auto sum. Just go and insert, formula, and insert the sum function, and there you go. Okay. So there's a few different ways. I can go sum, okay, and I could say, no, drag this up to there. Okay, so I dragged it to where I needed it to be. Or I could have just typed these numbers in, right? Starting at, okay, let's try that again. So I want to do equals sum, starting here, drag to where I want to be, okay, and hit enter, and there you go.
Just an auto sum that you need every cell.
Just if you're using auto sum, it has to be all filled in, correct? Okay. There it is. Okay. Okay. Any other questions, comments? All right. Well, that takes us to the end of our lesson. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming. I'd like to thank all our online people for coming. And I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.